Amanda and I did a lot of painting today, and then we finished painting and decided to watch a film that has been in my Netflix queue for reasons undetermined. This film is called Raw. It is a French film, in French with subtitles, and the description is: forced to eat raw meat during a hazing ritual at a veterinarian school, a young girl develops a taste for flesh of all kinds.
Yep, that sure is the description.
We're not entirely sure what we just watched. If college in France is like this at all, it is probably really, really strange. They get yanked out of their beds the very first night. All of their stuff gets thrown out the window. They're taken down to a crazy party.
Yeah.
And forced to stay up in their underwear or whatever it was they wore to bed, which apparently a lot of girls just wear underwear. Maybe that's true. I wear pajamas, but I suppose there are people who don't. And then from there, they're in like this rookie hell week sort of thing where they have to do all sorts of stuff, which include eating a piece of
rabbit kidney.
Yeah.
I think a raw rabbit kidney or liver or something like that.
Yes. So our main star, Justine, is at vet school with her older sister, Alex. And apparently her parents also went to vet school. They're just like a family of veterinarians.
They're legacy students.
Mm-hmm. And she eats it. And she was vegetarian. It should be mentioned. Her mother...
The whole family is vegetarians.
Mm-hmm.
Or so we think.
Yeah. And then her sister's like, just eat it. And so she does, because she doesn't want to get shown up. And then things get weird.
Yeah, all of this was totally normal up until that point. That's when things get strange.
She starts stealing meat. Like, she steals a burger at lunch and puts it in her pocket because she's embarrassed to, like, show that she's eating meat because she talks a lot about being a vegetarian.
Right. She's made a big deal about it, and so she, like, tries to hide it. But then it's a very, like, juicy hamburger patty. So she puts it in her pocket, but it like juice seeps through.
It's really
and the cashier's like, I can clearly see there's something in your pocket. I need to ring it up.
Yeah, it's and then her roommate, Julian, who's... Adrian, sorry. Justine and Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian, who's gay, is like so supportive and the greatest roommate ever. He just takes everything in stride.
It's true.
Uh-huh. So she goes from burgers to raw chicken in the fridge, and from there to a very weird scene where her sister accidentally cuts off her own finger, and then Justine eats it. And
to be fair, her sister's like holding the scissors, and Justine's like kicks the scissors and...
Yeah, I mean, her sister accidentally cuts off her own finger. It's the Justine eating it part that's...
Yeah.
And definitely, Amanda and I were both like, no, don't do it, she's gonna eat the finger, oh my god, don't eat the finger, no. Also, apparently fingers are very chewy.
God, it looks so chewy.
It was like, really, really chewy and stretchy.
It looked like an old, like a gummy worm.
Yes,
like an old
really
gummy worm.
did.
That kind of texture, that chewiness.
And then in what actually becomes, like, after you get further into it, a really sad and beautiful scene, her sister, like, who passed out when her finger started bleeding, like, she saw the blood and passed out, which is strange for a vet, but we'll move past that.
Your own finger is missing. I feel like it's justified.
So she sits up and sees her sister eating the finger, and she starts crying. And you're like, oh, well, that's a strange reaction. And then she doesn't tell her parents.
Well, there was some foreshadowing before this.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, so after Justine eats the kidney, she gets this like terrible full
Oh,
body
yeah,
rash.
Mhm.
So she goes to the medical center on campus, and the doctor gives her an ointment for her rash. And so earlier when she's hanging out with her sister, she like casually sees this ointment in her sister's bathroom. So you're like, oh, perhaps her sister is also afflicted.
Yeah. And then they get out of the hospital and her sister's like, all right, so clearly you eat people. Also, I eat people. Let me show you how this is done. We're going to go out into the road and we're going to crash a car and then we're going to eat those people.
VIP.
And like,
MVP.
all in all,
That's what I
doesn't
meant to say.
seem like a bad plan.
Yeah.
Like,
Her sister's
those people
immediately
are
like,
dead.
I'm gonna.
Those people are dead, so they can't report like what made them crash. Like you're literally crashing a random car, so you're not connected to those people. Like all things considered, if you're gonna eat people, that's the way to go. So it gets to this point, and I was like, oh, clearly they're vegetarian because if they eat meat, they become flesh-eating creatures. It must be genetic. But there was a little bit that like discounted that because it seemed like people just like dealt with the fact that she ate people. Like Justine bit this guy's lip and they were like, oh, but then her roommate, being the wonderful angel that he is, was like, it's okay.
He was like, you're just into some kinky shit. It's
Yeah, it's true.
That's literally what his response was.
And then she and her sister get into a fight because her sister is actually a jerk. And
I can't tell. The whole time her sister's like bouncing between being like really mean to her and like very caring, and I was confused by it.
apparently that's what siblinghood is like. I will teach you how to kill people, but I will also create a viral video of you starved for flesh trying to eat a dead guy's hand. So they get into this fight and they bite each other in the middle of campus in front of everyone. And like that seems to be a thing that no one cares about.
Yeah. They're just like ripping each other's flesh off. It's
There's some impressive special effects makeup
yeah.
in this film. Yeah.
Old gummy worm aside.
And so it's strange. The whole thing is strange. And then at the end, unfortunately, the beautiful roommate is murdered by the sister. Alex kills him and eats most of his leg. Also another impressive makeup.
Yes.
Because I don't think it was CG. Like,
I
just
think
from the way
was a
that it looked.
practical effect,
I think it was a
yes.
practical effect, and it looked really good. Impressive practical effects. And then she ends up in jail. And then they have this moment between Justine and her dad where he's like, we treated her like a princess and she never knew how to be anything but herself. You know, it's really our fault, but you'll learn to deal with it. And I was like, ha, I was right. This is genetic. He's like, I didn't really understand until I kissed your mom for the first time. And then he touches his lip where he's got this scar and you're like, oh, oh. And then he like unbuttons his shirt and he's just like covered in scars. Where I guess her mom just eats him from time to time. I don't really know.
I guess that's the implication.
And then the movie ends.
Yeah, that sure is the end of the movie.
We're definitely both confused. I can't be like, wow, I really liked this film, because that would be weird. But it wasn't terrible.
I'm not upset that I watched it.
Yeah. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
If you like sort of
Weird
unsettling
movies.
foreign films, it actually is interesting.
Yeah.
The storytelling is strange. It's very claustrophobic as a film. There are a lot of shots of like people all pressed together, or there's this entire like nightmare sequence where she is underneath her sheets.
Yeah, she's like trapped under her sheets.
Mm-hmm. And it's shot entirely under her sheets, which is kind of interesting.
There's some very interesting cinematography throughout that's like kind of supposed to be dreamlike, but then it never is actually a dream sequence.
Turns out it's all reality, and reality is weird. And then you're just not sure at the end of this, like, her sister's in jail for killing the roommate, but still, do people care that she ate him? We're not sure. Also, we're not sure how her sister's gonna do in jail, you know, considering that she desperately needs to eat people.
So here's my confusion. The family is vegetarians, but clearly the sister hasn't been?
Well, not since she got to school. So I get the feeling that she ate
The rabbit kidney.
I think that the mother kept the children vegetarian to stop them from getting whatever it is she has that makes her eat flesh. She
is
was
it
like,
just
if
like
they never
awakened when you eat
Yeah,
flesh?
it
'Cause
must
I
be,
feel like you
because-
can go like your whole life without eating meat, even accidentally somehow. And like being a vegetarian is very difficult, side note.
But I feel like that is what it is, because remember when Justine has some meat in her potatoes in the beginning and her mom's like, "Did you bite it?" She's like freaking out about whether or not she bit it. She's like, no. And she's like, it's not a big deal. And her mom's like, it's a huge deal. Clearly she keeps her children vegetarian in order to stop them from becoming flesh-eating creatures.
That's interesting. How would she know though if
That's how it happened to her.
she was a vegetarian and then she wasn't?
No, just the first time she ate flesh, she started hungering for it.
But I, for example, am not a vegetarian, and I don't just remember the first time I ate meat.
You wouldn't
I don't
been
know
involved
what
immediately
No,
in eating people.
if I was like 3 years, I think that's pretty old to start. I don't know. If I was like 3 years old, then I would not remember a time in my life when I hadn't been eating meat. I wouldn't remember what my pre-meat life was like as a non-vegetarian.
Maybe her mom kept her vegetarian too, and then she went away to college. She was like, I'm gonna be a wild girl and eat meat. Because no one in this family talks to each other. In fact, even the sister, she's like, we need to talk. And then she doesn't talk. She just takes her to the side of the road and then leaps in front of a car and then goes and eats the guy's brains, all without actually communicating anything.
Yep.
So they're just a complete generational line of people who don't bother to tell their kids that they'll become flesh-eating creatures if they have meat. They just like force them to be vegetarian, and then it continually fails because no one talks about it. That's what I think.
I'm curious now to know the mom's story.
Yeah.
Clearly she finds love despite this affliction, so that's nice.
Yeah, and I don't think the dad has the affliction.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's just her. So maybe it's just women. Interesting.
Maybe. They only have 2 kids and they're both girls, so we don't know if it's gendered or not, or if it's just genetic.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It opens up a whole world of possibilities of like entire lineages of French women living with the fact that they want to eat people.
Yeah, and they're not zombies. They just eat people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an important distinction.
It is an important distinction.
It's not like Santa Clarita Diet where she's like losing limbs and like deteriorating. They just eat people.
They just eat people. I mean, they get pretty hungry because she clearly like doesn't feel satisfied from eating vegetables anymore.
Right.
But
she does make a point to say that she always feels hungry when she's talking to that doctor.
The only thing that will fill her up is human flesh. This is why you don't eat human flesh, guys, because you turn into... It's like the Wendigo legend. Like, you eat human flesh and then you become a creature who can only eat human flesh. Which is, I think, legend and lore's way of telling us that humans taste really good. Because once you eat them... In every story ever, once you eat human flesh, you, like, can't go back.
Well, it's not a compelling story. If it was like, oh yeah, I tried human once, it was okay.
Yeah, but no one's like, it was the most disgusting thing I've ever had and it made me throw up for days and I'll never eat it again. No, in every legend, they start eating human flesh and then it's all that will satisfy them. Like the first time I had cake and I was like, well, that's it. other dessert will satisfy me.
We started this movie eating cake. I'm glad we finished before most of the action started.
Complete side note about this film, which is also a complete side note in the film. There is some sort of weird subplot with her teacher.
Oh yeah, what was up with that? The teacher just hates her for no reason.
Yeah, he's like, you're too good at this, and I don't want to see you succeed because all the other students are intimidated by how great you are, and we could lose a lot of good doctors because they're intimidated by you. And I'm gonna be like, shut up, dude.
Yeah.
Let her be smart.
He accused her of cheating. He was like, "Oh, I know that you and your friend cheated." I think referring to her roommate. And I'd rather it be you because I like him more.
Yeah, and because he had to struggle to get here and you were just handed it. Yeah, it's strange. Maybe he knows about the eating people thing. He's just like against her on principle. I don't know. It's never explored. You know what else probably shouldn't be explored? The length of this video. But you know what I'm not gonna do? Edit it. Because I'm tired.
Look, you're here for a reason. Either you got what you wanted or you didn't. Get over it.
Yeah. Go watch Raw on Netflix so that you can discuss with us what your theories are about the eating of human flesh. Do you think that it's genetic? Do you think that it's women only? Do you think that human flesh is the most delicious food on the planet? And that's why everyone who eats it can never go back? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you tomorrow.